What's up, guys? Fan 101 here, and this is my review of NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3. I said I'd be reviewing the Brooklyn shows, going into detail, of course, and I am. And before I start the review, I have been thinking about, like I said, guys, I've been thinking about, I was talked about before how I'm trying to do the reviews of, the WCPW, the TNA, and, the various other shows of the past year. However, I will not be able to talk about them because it just takes up a lot of time. At the library, which I go to, it's right down the street, I can, do Windows Media Player and just upload videos like that. And so what I'll be doing is I will be watching the shows. Some of them I haven't even watched yet, which is sad, but I will be watching the shows. But I will not be reviewing them how I normally do them here. To save time, I'm going to be doing them through Windows Media Player. So, very similar to the reviews that Lundrick, Prince of Strong Style, 7699619, Mr. Beetle 890, CC Titans Fan, Nature Boy 818, those guys, doing this videos similar to those guys. It's just like a minute or so long video of just the ratings and the overall rating of the show at the end. That's what I'm going to try to do. So, with that said, the only shows I'm going to be talking about in length are like some of the big shows. So that includes the the Takeover shows from last year. TNA Bound for Glory, because, man, do I have a lot to say about that show when I get to it. New Japan Dominion, a few select Ring of Honor shows, and the odd once in a while, I think maybe one or two WCPW shows, before it became Defiant Wrestling, which I hear is general manager is Wade Barrett. That's pretty cool. So with that said, let's get on to the review, shall we? NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3 took place in, well, Brooklyn. And, it shouldn't really go without saying, this show delivered, because all TakeOver shows delivered. There's yet to be a bad TakeOver show, and that makes me really, really happy. Show opened up with Johnny Gargano against Andrade Cien Almas. How did I forget his name? It was against Andrade Cien Almas, accompanied to the ring for the first time on TakeOver, Zelina Vega, who is a hot woman, and Austin Aries should be happy to be with that woman. Now, sorry about that. Yeah, something stuck in my throat. This match was a great match. Just gonna say it outright. Then again, it's Johnny Gargano and Andrade Almas as a heel with Zelina Vega. Not saying Almas was never good before, but something about him just didn't seem right. As a babyface, it just didn't seem to work out. As a heel, it started to work out a little bit better, but it was still not doing much for him. Until they paired him up with Zelina Vega, and they just clicked, and all of a sudden, Andrade seemingly transformed into this much better wrestler. Probably because they better utilize him in NXT. These guys in this match traded moves back and forth. This was also the first TakeOver show which Johnny Gargano was competing for the first time as a singles performer. It's the wind. I hate it because the wind in Arizona right now, sometimes it can get windy, and it'll like make like a force sound against the door, almost sound like a knocking. I've been tricked a couple times by that. But anyways, it was his first match into NXT. Well, maybe not first match, but his first TakeOver match in NXT as a singles performer, and definitely the first one, the first TakeOver he's competed on since the Tommaso Ciampa heel turn at TakeOver Chicago. And considering if this match is only a little bit of what's to come, I can't wait to see what happens until their TakeOver Philadelphia match for the NXT Championship. More on that little bit more on that, I should say, in my NXT Takeover War Games review. So these guys had a really good back and forth match. They were just trading moves back and forth. Almas at one point had an arm bar on the ropes on Johnny Gargano's arm. You would tangle up in the ropes. This was a great match. It just simply was a great match. Not the best match on the night, although it probably makes the case for second best match on the night. There's this other spot where Johnny Gargano, what he usually does, he has a move where he goes over the top rope and then hits a DDT in the ring. It was the way Almas sold it like death. I mean, man, Almas sold it really cool. There was another spot where Johnny Gargano went for a spear. Another move he does is like a spear through the middle of the ropes, more as like a counter to a running opponent. He did it earlier in the match. He tried to do it a second time. Almas caught him, hit a face buster onto his knee, and then got him with like a variation of a DDT, and then hilariously enough got him with like a. He got him with like God, how would I describe this? He got him with a tilt. God, like a tilt-a-whirl, not tilt-a-whirl, but basically hit a basically a tilt-a-whirl DDT, like how you normally do it. But he did it an inverted DDT, and I couldn't help but think of, he stole Tetsuya Naito's move. He stole the Destino from Tetsuya Naito. Naito should have something to say. Although I guess Naito should be happy that Almas is using this move. I found that kind of funny. It was a nice move after all. This was a really good match. There was another spot where not Almas. Johnny Gargano tried to do a sunset flip powerbomb. Almost landed on his feet because this guy is freaky talented. And not too long later, Almas did a not a slingshot. Yeah, probably like a slingshot into like the ropes. Not the ropes, but into the turnbuckle. Then Johnny Gargano got the Gargano escape, which, by the way, until I listened to the Saw Monsters podcast and various interviews, it took me so long to figure out why they called it the Gargano escape, even though even though it's a submission move, and it was basically a cross-face submission move. Why they call it the Gargano escape? For those of you who don't know, they call it that because of his the move is supposed to be called the Gargan and then dash no escape, but NXT commentators, Corey Graves, Nigel McGuinness, Mauro Ranallo, Percy Watson, Tom Phillips, none of them have ever bothered to actually say why it's called the Gargano escape. Either they did and I missed it, or they just didn't at all, and I don't think they ever did. I think they should have, like on a major show. I would have remembered it. Almas, anyway, countered the move, hit a powerbomb into the turnbuckle. Thankfully, did not break his back like Seth Rollins did with Finn Balor a couple years ago. Almas hit the double knees into the corner. Only got a 2 count. Gargano fought back with several super kicks and then hit a long dart. And as Gargano was going for the, I think Gargano's thing is either the running knee or the running super kick or something. I don't know. He has basically a super kick onto the knees. Zelina Vega threw in a blue shirt. It wasn't until he unfolded the shirt when we found out it was a Tommaso Ciampa shirt. A little bit of a forewarning for what is most likely to come at TakeOver Philadelphia. And this distracted Gargano. Almas drop kicked him in the corner, got a hammerlock DDT on him, and got the win. And after the match, there was this nice visual of the Ciampa shirt being in the middle of the ring, and Gargano just almost like crawling away from it. It was a nice visual, and I like the storytelling that even though Tommaso Ciampa is gone, for the moment because of injury, he's not forgotten. And on top of that, Ciampa has not been mentioned that much in the past few months. So that leads me to believe that, okay, they're giving him a lull because they want to make it feel like a surprise for when he comes back. And when he does, most likely at Takeover Philadelphia, I will be so happy that we have Tommaso Ciampa again. Next match, Corey Graves came out for commentary because at this point, it was only Mauro Ranallo, Nigel McGuinness, and I think Percy Watson. However, for this match, Percy Watson took a step down, and out came Corey Graves. I don't know why. Then again, Corey Graves is on the main roster, so, you know, this was the night before SummerSlam. But Graves came out for the next match, which was SAnitY going again up against the champions, the Authors of Pain, for the NXT Tag Team titles. Authors of Pain came out in this military-like garb with some sick-looking masks, I gotta say. I mean, like, my God, these guys look intimidating. Then again, Killian Dane and... God, what's his name? I was about to say Wilfred Brimley, even though that's completely and totally wrong. Because no way is that Wilfred Brimley. I'm sorry. He ain't Wilfred Brimley. I'm sorry. God, what's his name? Alexander Wolf, that's his name. Why am I forgetting names all? It's probably because I haven't been reviewing that much lately, so I'm kind of forgetting their names. I feel sad, and stupid, and sad. Sad. Anyway, so the match did not start yet because Authors of Pain went in on the attack. Because SAnitY made their entrance. Authors of Pain were basically playing babyface in this match. They came in and they didn't really. There was an attack early on. Eric Young, I believe, pulled out a table at some point during the opening brawl. There was and then things finally got under control and the bell rang. It was originally just supposed to be Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf. However, Dane never once tagged in yet. Therefore, he technically wasn't legal in the match if he didn't have to be. So what happened was Eric Young called down Killian Dane, and he wanted to tag in. He wanted the tag from Alexander Wolf. And from what I read online, the reason why he did that is because Eric Young knows that Alexander Wolf needs guidance. Killian Dane, he's a big man, but he's already set. He's already proven that he can be a good wrestler. Nikki Cross, she's a woman, but she's already proven she can be good. Eric Young's record in TNA speaks for itself in terms of and what he can do. But Alexander Wolf, he's not like those other guys who have had a reputation, or in Nikki Cross's case, is in a different division entirely to prove herself. He knows Alexander Wolf needs guidance, so that's why Eric Young wanted to be his partner, because he wanted to, in a sense, mentor Alexander Wolf. Which, if that is true, then, you know, props to Eric Young. He knows the business. Early on, so Eric Young got the tag in, went to attack, I think it was Akam on the outside. And, again, not exactly like the Usos, but the Authors of Pain are still, because they look very much alike, and mainly because they dress differently, they're very hard to figure out, like, who's who. There are a couple distinct facial differences, but aside from that, they're kind of like the Usos in the sense they look the same. So Eric Young and Akam were fighting each other on the outside. They went to the crowd. Akam ran into the barricade, or maybe it was Razor, but I'm pretty sure it was Akam. There was a nice little spot where Akam, I believe, did not a drop kick, but he got him up for the not a slam, but he got him up. God, I'm already forgetting moves. I feel stupid. But basically, there was like a double team move where he got him on Razor's shoulders, and Razor hit him with a Dominator. I haven't seen that move since Lashley's days as the Dominator as the finish. I think these guys could honestly make a great Dominator. No homo. But there was another move where they did a sidewalk slam, giant foot stomp combo. Really, that looked painful. They basically beat on Eric Young for a while, choking him out like a little bitch, and Eric Young tagged in Alexander Wolf. Wolf is a house of fire. Wolf is not a small man. I know he's not big compared to someone like, say, the former Big Damo, Killian Dane, but Wolf himself is not a small guy. And this, more than anything, was Wolf's chance to shine. And there was a point where he did he pulled a cane and did a clothesline from the top rope onto one of the members of Authors of Pain. That didn't last long, as they the Authors of Pain went for the old beer money finish, where he did it was like a suplex into transition to a powerbomb. If you remember the Authors of Pain, not Authors of Pain, the beer money finishing move is basically that. Wolf at one point even did a Hurricane Rana to one of the members of Authors of Pain who was on the top turnbuckle. That to me is crazy, because both of them are not small guys, and the guys their size normally would not do it. They were able to isolate one of the members. There was a point when well, briefly. Okay, so Eric Young was on the top turnbuckle. One of the members of Authors of Pain was on the top with them, trying to give him a suplex, and the other one was below him, trying, I guess, put him in a powerbomb position. Basically, what they were going to do, they were going to make it double powerful with one members of the Authors of Pain powerbombing the other, while at the same time suplexing Eric Young. I guess trying to give double the pain. Didn't work out because Nikki Cross ended up holding on to Eric Young's legs. And the one Authors of Pain member just got powerbombed by himself. After taking out one of the members to the outside, Eric Young went for the top rope elbow. Was but both Authors of Pain members, they broke up the pin. Alexander Wolf at one point went for a dive, which again, a guy his size usually doesn't do dives. There was a confrontation in the ring between Paul Ellering and Nikki Cross. I guess Paul Ellering tried to do something. The ref tried to get him out of the ring primarily, which allowed Nikki Cross to go on the top rope and try to do a crossbody onto one of the members of the Authors of Pain. I think it was Razor. As he was about to do a move onto the table that was set up at the beginning of the match on the outside, Killian Dane came in, did a crossbody to both Nikki Cross and Razor through the table that was set up, and then Alexander Wolf and Eric Young went for one of their finishing moves. It was the back suplex, neck breakers, assisted second rope springboard neck breaker. I forget what the move is called, but it was obviously their finishing move. Why? Because they won the match. As they were celebrating with the tag team titles, the NXT tag titles, that is, in came Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, who had debuted on NXT previously in singles matches against Aleister Black. Pretty good singles matches, I might add. They came in, beat up Authors of Pain, did the Enter the Dragon, I believe, is their finisher. Because remember, on the indie scene, they were called Red Dragon. And they're pretty great tag team. I might add. Go watch their stuff in Ring of Honor against the Young Bucks. They gave the Young Bucks probably some of the Bucks' best matches, along with Motor City Machine Guns. But there was Chasing the Dragon, which is basically a brain buster with a roundhouse kick to the opponent's head. And then there was a Total Elimination, which is a leg sweep, flying European uppercut or combination. So there's Total Elimination, Chasing the Dragon. These guys have other signature moves too, but I'm just mentioning 2 of them, which is mainly their finishing moves. Then they've used both of them here in this post-match attack. They basically made a statement saying they're the tag team now. They want to go after the tag titles. Everyone was a beaten mess. Out next came Jim Ross for commentary. Yes, good old JR came out. By the way, Corey Graves, I recall, was good on commentary. So was JR, though clearly lost to Separate 2, but it's still JR. So yeah. Out next was Hideo Itami and Aleister Black. Aleister Black, who was undefeated at this point. Hideo Itami had recently turned heel, and as we clearly saw, would not be on NXT for that much longer, as this would be his last Takeover show, and basically doing his job and putting over Aleister Black. Aleister Black came out to a rock band playing his music. It was pretty cool, considering his music is basically rock. Badass entrance Aleister Black has. This was, now, and I almost forgot to mention this, the Authors of Pain, a SAnitY match. I thought it was a good match, although a tad bit marred by the interference by Paul Ellering. Not Paul Ellering. Paul Ellering, I honestly didn't do that much, but mainly Nikki Cross and Killian Dane. But it was a good match, regardless. This match, I think, is a little bit underrated. I personally liked this match a little bit more than some other people. This was a hard-hitting Smash Mouth style match, with both Itami and Aleister Black going for their signature kicks early on. Looked like it beat the hell out of them, with Black eventually getting the upper hand. This was I believe this was Black's second Takeover match. The first one was a regular short couple-minute match. This one, however, was his first real Takeover match. Yeah. Aleister Black took control early on with the kicks, which, one thing I'm surprised about Aleister Black is that he's got some long legs. He doesn't have short, regular style legs. He's got long legs for those kicks. Hideo Itami eventually took control, though. He hung up Aleister Black on the ropes, with his legs on the outside and his upper half body in the ring. Itami went for a top rope knee right to the back of Aleister's head. He took control of the match for a little bit, basically beating the hell out of Black, kicking him a lot. The knees, which is his legs and his knees, are of course his strong suit. At one point, I think he kneed him a bit too hard in the face, and his blood was coming out of Aleister's nose, and that's when the referee put the aforementioned gloves on. Nice little counter where Aleister Black was going for a punch, and Itami kind of whirled it around into a DDT. Man, 2017 was the return of the DDT. Jake Roberts would be proud. There was another kicking combination with, I can't even describe it. It was a couple kicks to the chest, but then it was Itami went for a chop. Aleister got a weird looking elbow in, a kick to the chest, another kick to the chest. This time more like a boot to the chest, and then a sweep kick, and then got him with a kick to the face from the off the ropes. It was a weird combination, but it was fun to watch. We even got a spot where Aleister Black did a moonsault coming off the middle ropes, kind of like a lion salt. He almost missed Itami because he didn't springboard that far. He almost missed him. Itami had to kind of step forward and kind of have Itami's legs hit Black's legs hit Itami right in the head. Aleister Black went for his Black Mass. That didn't work, at least not at this point in the match. Tommy went for his DDT into the ropes and the top rope clothesline. That version of the clothesline is probably where Alexander Wolf got his clothesline from earlier in the match. I just think what I liked about this match is that it felt a lot like an Itami match, like an old style Kenta match, where if you watch Kenta's matches in Ring of Honor and in the Pro Wrestling Noah, the guy could hit hard. He would beat the shit out of you. That's what I kind of liked about this match, was that it felt kind of like a Kenta match, where it felt like almost he was beating the ever-loving piss out of you. Probably the best spot of the match is when Itami, coming off the middle rope, hit a Falcon's Arrow coming off the middle rope. That was a nice little spot. At this point, both these guys were exhausted. Aleister was bleeding, and as Itami was probably going to go for Aleister, he was on his knees. Aleister got up like a ghost right out of hell, which freaked out Itami for a moment. And then they went back to forearming, slapping, and kicking the shit out of each other. This was like a weird version of like a New Japan match, just in Takeover. Tommy had the upper hand for a moment. Even got in another Falcon's Arrow on him, but it was sadly not meant to be. Tommy went for the GTS. Aleister got out of it, and while Tommy went for a brief-looking clothesline, Aleister Black hit the Black Mask out of freaking nowhere, kicked the guy right in his fucking head. Looked like he just about knocked him out. And Itami sold it too, like it was $1 million. This was, in my opinion, a really good match, and in my opinion, is an overrated match. I think some people do overrate this match, underrate this match. I think it's a little bit underrated, I just think it's a little bit underrated. That's all I gotta say. Next, we had the NXT Women's Championship match. Asuka defending the NXT Women's Championship against Ember Moon. This was, in many ways, this was a great match. This, actually, in my opinion, was the best match of the show. Because you could say, because people have had up and down opinions on the main event, and to a small extent, the Gargano Almas match. This match on here, pretty much everyone agrees was a great match. And I'll get to the finish in a second in terms of who won. This was a back and forth great match. Ember Moon pretty much going offense early on, even getting a dive off of the middle turnbuckle out to the outside onto Asuka, who was on the floor. Didn't last too long, though, as Asuka rammed her at one point into the ring steps and got, I think it was like a butterfly suplex onto the ramp. The steel part of the ramp, I might add. So, had to hurt like shit. And Asuka basically just taking control. Beating the hell out of her. Ember tried fighting back. I think I got an electric chair style move on her. While Asuka, I believe, was actually going for an armbar. And even a kind of cool-looking Enziguri. I mean, seriously, Ember Moon probably is one of the best-looking Enziguris in the whole company. Asuka got a German suplex on her into the turnbuckles. Even got a sleeper hold. That didn't work. Ember just got out of it. Of course, Asuka later on went for her quote-unquote hip attack. Let's just call it what it is. It's called the ass attack. Because she attacks you with her ass. In many ways, I like to be attacked with her ass, but I don't want to die. So, Asuka, if you're hearing this, please do not hurt me. But you are very, hot. I mean, seriously, I would be scared to have sex with this woman. I'm afraid of her. Anyway, Asuka went for a assisted suplex with Ember on the second rope. Ember countered and got her with her own suplex and a knee right to the face for good measure. This match had a lot of spots. I'll get into the part which mattered most. So Asuka was prone in the ring for the Eclipse, which is of course her top rope stunner. So he had her for the Eclipse, and they said the story of the whole match was that Ember, if she hits the Eclipse, it's over because no one's ever kicked out of the Eclipse before. Asuka kicked out of the Eclipse. Ember went for a Ember tried again, instead went for a crossbody on the top rope. Asuka trying to pin Ember got Ember like a small package, but the referee saw that she was holding the tights, so kind of broke up the pin there. Asuka went for an armbar submission, transitioned into the crossface chicken wing, and the match was over. Now, if you looked at Asuka after the match, you could tell she looked pretty banged up, and you could think, okay, it was just selling, right? Well, it turned out later on that this would be Asuka's last NXT title defense and her last NXT match, because coming off of that Eclipse, she actually got hurt. Yeah, so what happened was, she got hurt. I think she had it was brief, but she had I think it was like a shoulder injury. And coming off, and, yeah, there's also one, so, I think they should have called an audible and had Ember just win the title right there. It would have been so much more to Ember if they just called an audible and had Ember just beat Asuka. I know that wasn't the plan, but that's what I think should have happened. Why? Because, well, here's the thing. The way they were built, look, I'm a fan of Asuka. A lot of people are a fan of Asuka, but I think the Asuka love got a little bit out of hand. It was obvious that Ember Moon should have won the title here, because they were playing up a story of a feud that's been going on for several months, that Ember tried so hard to beat Asuka, and she finally had her chance on a big stage, no less, and would beat Asuka. That was the story. She was gonna be in the match with Ruby Riott, Nikki Cross, and Asuka at Chicago, but she got hurt thanks to Asuka. Now, I guess it was payback. I guess Ember now has to hurt Asuka when Asuka hurt Ember before. So, yeah. So, what I also liked is that near the end of her run, Asuka was acting kind of heelish in her matches. She was acting heelish. And Ember, I'm going to say right now, Ember should have won. Like I said before, Ember should have won. There was no reason for Asuka to win here other than for maybe her to face Kairi Sane later on for the NXT Women's title. And honestly, as much as I liked Asuka's title reign, it should have ended right here. And I guess poetic justice in terms of the injury thing. I don't wish injuries on anybody. But if Asuka didn't lose the title here, she sure lost it when she got hurt and had to vacate the championship. Guess who ended up winning at the next pay-per-view? The next Takeover. Ember Moon. Why didn't they just have Ember Moon win here? I don't get it. I really don't get it. I'm sorry. Look, I know some people was like, I want Asuka to win. And honestly, I prefer Asuka to win. Why? Ember clearly was the storied wrestler here. Not in terms of maybe like her accomplishments outside of WWE, but in terms of how they were building her up. There's no reason for her to have lost this match. And the fact that she did, honestly, to me, I'm going to say it, was a dumb decision by NXT. And you don't hear me say that often, but it was a dumb move on their part, in my view. I'm just glad that she eventually got the title, but me and some other people think that Ember at one point should have beaten Asuka. That would have been Asuka's way to go into the WWE main roster. Instead, she's still undefeated for all it's worth. So at least there's a story going into WrestleMania, possibly with her as the champion. Or probably her as the challenger, because she's probably going to be the one winning the Royal Rumble and facing off against Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania. It's most likely what I think is going to happen. Main event was Drew McIntyre with a pretty cool entrance, I gotta admit, with a Roddy Piper-like entrance with the Irish-sounding pipes. So Drew McIntyre had a pretty good entrance. Bobby Roode came out. I know it's funny, but battle of the former TNA World Champions. I know, laugh at me. But it's true, both of these guys were former TNA World Champions. And here they are, a year, by the way, after Drew lost the TNA World Championship to Lashley, in what was quite possibly the best match of McIntyre's career. It probably is, in fact. Fury faces Bobby Roode in what I thought was a great match. I know there are some people who thought that this match was slow, it was prodding, and it was not that good. I have to disagree with those people. It was slow, but that's the kind of wrestler Bobby Roode is. He's not a wrestler meant for high flying. Keep in mind, Bobby Roode had just turned 40 last year in 2017. He was 39 in 20. Yeah, this is 2017. I was about to say, like, what's wrong with me? He was either 39 or 40 years old when he did this match. It's not the kind of show to do show. What am I talking about? He's not the kind of wrestler to do all the high-flying spots. He's not the kind of guy, and neither is Drew McIntyre. I expected a slower-paced match, and as far as slower-paced matches go, I liked it. I thought this was a great match, probably the third best match of the night behind Asuka and Ember Moon, and kind of close between Gargano and Andrade Almas, and then this. But this was a great match nonetheless. McIntyre proved that he had the power game later on. He even did a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker onto the apron the outside, which for a guy Roode's age probably hurt like shit. Roode eventually got the upper hand, got him on a neck breaker through the ropes, and then still on the outside, Roode hit a blockbuster onto McIntyre on the floor. Probably the biggest spot he did in this match. Possibly. Roode did do some different moves here. He did a top rope drop kick to McIntyre, something we never see Roode do. Speaking of top rope moves, McIntyre later in the match, and this is a move he's been doing for a while, even in his TNA days. He would hit like a forearm into the corner, go over the top rope in a seamless transition on the apron, then go on the top turnbuckle, then hit another flying clothesline up the top rope. This is the third match on the show that has a top rope flying clothesline. I just realized that after I was talking about the matches and looking at my notes here. But to be fair, it's probably even more amazing that it's a guy that Drew McIntyre does it than even Alexander Wolf. Guy like Hideo Itami, he's a small guy. He does it through the air seamlessly. Drew McIntyre looks like he's about to go to war with you with that clothesline. He even did a kip-up. Again, a guy Drew McIntyre's size, especially considering how tall he is. The guy's got tree trunk legs, and he does kip-ups. That's crazy. Pulled a Celtic cross a la Finlay or Sheamus, which was kind of neat. Roode had McIntyre in the Tree of Woe at one point, and McIntyre, with some admittedly crazy agility or flexibility for a guy his size, went up from the Tree of Woe, grabbed Roode, who was on the top turnbuckle, and just threw him down in the ring. It was cool. Bobby Roode hits a backstabber, later hits a power bomb. Again, moves you don't really see Roode do that much. Went to beating the hell out of each other. At one point, McIntyre got the Claymore kick, but Roode got his bottom foot on the rope. Then McIntyre went for a dive on the outside. And not like a safe dive where he grabs the ropes and just does like a dive over the rope. No, straight up cruiserweight style over the top rope tope out this bitch. Which, I'm surprised McIntyre even did it, considering the fact that Roode, and maybe it was just a bad positioning, but Roode kind of caught, he more so caught his legs. But McIntyre hit the mat back first, which thankfully did not hurt him. And maybe it was good because Roode went for a spine buster. At least they played into the story a little bit. Roode went for a spine buster in the ring, got a 2. Roode went for a glorious DDT, got a 2 count. McIntyre kicked out. Went for, I think, a second glorious DDT. McIntyre straight up headbutted him right in the face, like right here. Hits another Claymore kick. And Drew McIntyre is your new NXT champion. Now, before I go into the end of the show, as far as Drew McIntyre winning the NXT championship, I don't mind. In fact, Drew McIntyre probably served best to go back to NXT first, then to the main roster, which is most likely what he's doing when he gets back from his injury. Because, you see, the main roster had this, we're conditioned to think that Drew McIntyre is a jobber. And I think even Drew realizes that, which is why when he left WWE, he went and made a name for himself. He came to TNA the year after, kicked loads of ass, won the TNA Championship in 2016, became a TNA Champion, faced off in some pretty great matches against guys like EC3 and Bobby Lashley mainly. He and Bobby Lashley, to me, it was very similar to Undertaker and Batista in the sense they had crazy chemistry for guys that honestly should not have that great chemistry. But McIntyre and Lashley had it. Two big guys that just beat each other's asses. It probably gave us McIntyre's best ever singles match and probably best ever match, period. Still, this match is, even though I thought it was great, still didn't top that one. Even though, now, to be fair, I wish they could have built McIntyre up more as an NXT title challenger, because they didn't really build him up too much. He came back in, like, the previous Takeover show, or in Orlando last year, and then all of a sudden, 2 months later or so, he gets the NXT title shot. Weird, but you could give it an excuse because McIntyre already has a past history at WWE. So you can give him a little bit of a pass on this one. Although I'll bet you, if Drew McIntyre did not return to WWE when he did, it most likely would have been Roderick Strong in this spot. Roderick Strong was nowhere near on this show. Even though a few weeks before, he and Bobby Roode faced each other in a pretty damn good match for the NXT title. I was in some ways hoping we would get a 3-way takeover. Didn't get what I wanted. Anyway, ending of the show was, just to get out of the way real quick, ending the show was Drew McIntyre celebrating, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly came out, then Adam Cole comes out of the crowd and attacks Drew McIntyre. Adam Cole hits a super kick, and basically signals he wants the NXT title. He's not the champion yet. We would still have to wait for Andrade's reign to end. But this was pretty much the debut of the Undisputed Era as the stable that we know it. Not the greatest stable name, but it is better than the Absolution stable on Raw. That name sucks, in my opinion. Absolution does not. Riot Squad was better because it actually sounds kind of catchy. This one did not. But anyway, this was a great show. Yeah, that should be a surprise to no one that it was a great show, or at the very least a pretty good show. It was a great show with, in my opinion, 3 great matches that are all different from each other. 2 matches, one of which was a really good hard style match, and the other one was kind of a weird match with a heel versus heel dynamic, but it did have a straight up team that you could root for. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the review. Be well, stay safe. Next time I'll see you with my NXT TakeOver War Games review. And until next time, peace.